let's just react to the video and then just go from there, okay?
I actually love this thing. I love this thing. Not because it's flawless or anything. It is far from flawless. But because it's actually interesting. Like, don't forget, the last 2-3 years of Apple product review comments are just, that's boring. Oh, it's just a spec bump.
Okay, but let's keep in mind that those are comments, right? And at the end of the day, the end consumer, us, we just want good shit, okay? So, you can give me the same schlop, but just make sure it's good, okay? So, it doesn't need to be technically innovative, right? It just needs to be practical. So,
There's nothing really new here. Oh, they hardly change anything or try anything new these days. But this thing is interesting. It's risky, and most of all, it's new. Now, it's actually not fundamentally new. It's a VR headset, but it's new for Apple. And there are a bunch of things in here that are new in a way that only Apple would try. And just as interesting as this individual product is the possible future that this implies. Like, when you get a first generation product like this, you sort of automatically assume that there are goals for its future, that it'll have another generation and another one after that, and that there is some goal for what this will turn into 10 years down the road. Because we saw what happened with the iPhone and the Mac and the iPad and all sorts of other first generation products. And on top of all,
yeah, I just don't know if it's a good example. Because, like, okay, the main thing that held the iPhone back in its original starting wasn't even the price. It was actually pretty cheap for its time. But the main thing that was holding it back was just how efficiently it did every task. Having a computer that can surf the web, that can take pictures, that can, tell you the weather, tell you the time, make phone calls, play music, like do all those, our society now would be so much different if we didn't have that at our fingertips, right? And it's just so fundamentally like obvious to have. Obviously the market would, kill for that, but they just don't know it yet. And especially when the thing is a little bit laggy, it doesn't connect, it doesn't have the best connection to internet yet. Maybe the battery life wasn't as good back then, but eventually, like even for its time, right? It didn't blow up, but it probably still sold decently. And by the next iteration, they had all they had to do was just improve the software to be more efficient, more fast, and it would become a no-brainer to buy it. This is already giving a killer value that no one else on the market is doing, right? Especially with the touchscreen and everything, just way more efficient. But on top of that, people developed for the iPhone, one, because it's a completely new, novel thing, right? Which you could argue for the Apple Vision Pro, but also because the market was going crazy for it. Everyone wanted this camera, websites, music, and phone calling player, right? And so people were actually excited to make apps for this, but unless Apple really makes it like friendly for like new developers, what they're gonna need to do if they're gonna want to reach out to a general market is really hammer this in, and this is what I've been predicting that they're gonna do, is try to push for this product to be in the creativity center. Like they're gonna push it in schools. Maybe certain trade schools may even use it. So like for that whole interactive, or like an anatomy class, right? That would be an obvious one. You could like interact with the model of the human body. That would be a obvious choice. But this thing could be so good as like a Netflix player, but Netflix doesn't want to fucking give they're in agreement with Spotify and all these other apps. Let's make sure that Apple doesn't get extra share because they're being so greedy with their app store, right? So let's just make sure that their new devices don't have our banger apps, and so they just don't blow up, so we can punish Apple, right? And so for the general consumer market, even by the second generation of this thing, if they can't get that app problem solved, then it's just not worth it, right? It's just going to be, a novel present for some kids. But what they're going to really have to do is bring this cost down, remove all those, dumb features, right? Like, remove anything that's excess, and then just push this down the, like, industry sector. And yeah, like, I even think, like, why would you do the whole, like, they, like, really advertise, like, the zooming thing and everything like that, right? And so it's, like, it's almost like a way for people that aren't great engaged in the Zoom meeting to be engaged And also, take the Zoom market share and make it FaceTime, right? But people that aren't engaged in the Zoom meeting, right? Well, now they have their headset on, and then like their headset can be like locked into the meeting, right? And so they're forced to engage with this little helmet of engage in our corporate meeting, or in your schoolwork and everything like that. It's kind of dystopian in a way, right? That it's not going to be used for cool, innovative shit, because other developers don't want to develop for it, and it's not friendly for a larger consumer market. So it's just going to be used as a tool for industry, and the industry has some good benefits it can reap from it. So yeah, I don't think this is comparable at all to either of these two devices, or even the AirPods. It's like, dude, your phone doesn't. Everyone has a phone, right? Your phone doesn't ship with a headphone jack. They need a Bluetooth headphone. You created the problem, and you just handed them the solution. Like, and also this is a status symbol, right? So everyone that goes on the train flexes, right? Or walks around, they flex, right? Status symbol. That's why people get fancy cars, right? Status symbol. No one's gonna go walking around with their stupid fucking helmet, right? Not yet, at least. Not by like the first or second generation of this device. And so it's like Apple's really gonna have to sink in several years of this. I just don't know if it's really all that good of an investment. Like, this is gonna be like one of the only Apple products that are just like a flop, because they're gonna just put so many resources into it, and it's just not gonna take off. And I saw like his previous video where they were doing the whole tapping thing, and it's like that is just so inefficient compared to a phone. It's like the problem with the phone is people are trying to innovate past it, but it's like its form factor is like the ultimate function, right? It's like its peak at this rate. Like if I want something a little bit more like power usage, then I use my desktop, right? And if I need like more screens, I get more screens, right? It's just like the market has already consolidated, right? So it's like a VR headset, even though you see in all this sci-fi, it's not really the future. And like you can even say that for the Apple Watch. It's like it's not even all that better than the phone. But the only thing that makes it good is that one, it's a heart rate monitor, and then two, it's a status symbol. It says that I am a healthy consumer, right? I'm health conscious. That's my part of my identity. But it's like you don't bring the helmet around with you. That's the problem. You can't even flex it, right? At least like my iPhone, I can take it out. I don't have one I have, but my iPhone, I can take it out and be like, boom, I got the newest iPhone. Oh shit, is that the new iPhone? Right? I got my AirPods. Boom, they see it. If something doesn't even have the basic like functionality, that would make you want to leap to it, like the original iPhone had, right? This productivity machine, then you at least need to have it be as a status symbol that you're not a peasant. So it's like we got AirPods, not as good, all that good for audio, but they're decent, and you get a flex on poor people. But it's like, what part of Apple's philosophy does the Apple Vision Pro even cater to, right? So that was a long pause, but I'm reacting to the video, okay?
Products. And on top of all of that, as far as I know, Apple has never released any other first generation product with the word Pro already in the name, which has a whole other set of implications. So, is the world ready for all of this? Let's get into it.
So yeah, then they're obviously going to have a non-Pro version. I guess they just want to test out the Pro market. Kind of maybe was, haven't seen yet. They just want to hit the higher end consumers, right? And then they can get some of that street cred for it, right? Of something that, is unfamiliar, and be like, oh yeah, this is legit. And then they come out with something that's much more affordable and much more functional, right? And then everyone's like, oh yeah, I've been seeing all this, in my school and everything like that. But I could do this and that with it. I'm already familiar with it, and you're giving me the functionality. I want it. But, of course, getting over that functionality hurdle is going to be the main thing that we're going to look out for Apple. I talk like I'm an investor, but...
So I might be one of the 20 people outside of Apple who has been using the Vision Pro the most over the past 2 weeks. Like I've spent hours in this thing with both bands, with multiple Macs, in different setups, different rooms, indoors and outdoors, lightness and darkness. There are parts of this thing that are absolutely amazing, unparalleled, best I've ever seen. But the reason it's so interesting is because it's actually new, and there are downfalls and flaws and trade-offs that come alongside all of this stuff. So at the end of the last video, I gave you guys a sort of a preview of my pros and cons list. If you haven't watched that video, it is definitely worth watching, almost like a prequel to this one. It is a 30-minute monster all about how to use this thing, how it works, what's inside, what it's capable of. And then at the end, I got to my upsides, which are immersiveness, placement in space, eye tracking and hand control, pass-through, ecosystem, and spatial audio. And the downsides, which are weight and comfort, the eyes on the outside, app selection right now, battery life, and price. So
see, I thought the weight and comfort, like, I knew it would be a little bit bad. He hasn't gotten to the point, but that's like one of the hugest drawbacks of any VR headset. You don't need, like, our necks are perfectly fine going like this for like several hours a day, right? Only becomes a problem when it's like 100% of the day without any like touching grass, right? Straighten out your neck. But yeah, it's just like, how are you going to get over that? Just the impression on your face, and your face is all red, your hair is, caved in. It's just like, you're never going to really get past that. But I really think, right, is that you need to make it where you can use it laying down. Everyone envisions these little headsets that we're going to wear, right, while we're, standing up, right? Oh, I'm going to interact and stand, right? But it's like, really, that shouldn't be the case. You want to have it where it's a helmet, right? So it's like, it's putting pressure evenly throughout your head, right? But then on top of that, they're laying down and doing it. Even if you had a controller, right? And you're just like, you don't need to look down because you're already a gamer, right? And you're just using the controller, but you're like laying down and doing it, right? And you just get this huge immersive experience. This, like, that is probably the way to go. You can't just have something clamped from the back, clamped from the front, and then you have gravity trying to pull it down. It's just not going to work, right?
Okay, for starters, I want to amend immersiveness to fidelity. I think that's more accurate here. I have used a bunch of different VR headsets now, and this Vision Pro has the sharpest, best-looking micro OLED display out of all of them. The size of individual pixels on these displays is 7.5 microns, which means you could fit 64 of them in the size of a single iPhone screen's pixel. You can't see individual pixels. There's no screen door effect. It's awesome. The native refresh rate is 90 hertz, and it will crank up to 96 hertz when there's 24 FPS content planned to be an even multiple. And Apple says that they calibrate every single one of these Vision Pro displays from the factory for maximum color accuracy. They're really good, and this is a big reason why this headset is so expensive. But then, and this is going to be a recurring theme here, the Vision Pro runs up against the technology of today not being quite advanced enough to accomplish what they were probably hoping as ideal. So in the case of these screens, right, they're amazing. There are so many pixels, but because there's so many pixels, the computer inside cannot actually render everything in high resolution all the time at 90 hertz. So instead, it does something clever. It combines the insanely fast eye tracking with what's called foveated rendering, meaning it's only actually rendering in high resolution exactly what you're looking at when you're looking at it. The rest is soft and fuzzy in HQ.
Oh my God. I'm just now thinking about the advertisers, right? And they could see your eyes. It has an eye tracker, right? And that's like built into the hardware. And so they get to see what catches your attention and, like, how long you're staring at it. Like, maybe they're actually cooking here, right? If they can get some good market share with this, and they have that eye tracking technology down, to a T, then it's just like advertisers, ooh, they're gonna love it, right? Google's sweating, Advertisers, Google AdSense might be dethroned one day.
All at once, but every time I did that, it would be choppy and scrolling would be slow and jittery. And I'm thinking that's just because the computers aren't really used to rendering everything in high quality all the time. So it looks like a higher quality recording, but the second I did any scrolling, it didn't look as good, so I just didn't use those recordings as often. So the screens are great. The position tracking of objects in space are great.
I remember, this is the Pro, right?
Tracking is incredibly good. The one ding against immersion on the Vision Pro, though, and not a lot of people are talking about this, but it's the field of view. See, the first few times you use this headset, you don't even really think about it that much. You're so distracted by all the fun and the newness and how cool it is that your eyes are controlling the thing, but eventually you start to poke around the edges, and it turns out, how people are saying it kind of looks like ski goggles from the outside? Well, it also kind of looks like ski goggles from the inside a little bit, too. Again, the middle is super sharp and incredibly impressive, but if I can do my best here through a YouTube video, the edges of the headset are a little bit further in than the edges of your vision, and so there's a little bit of a...
So that breaks the whole immersive experience in the first place, right? Like, yeah, if you're focusing straight ahead, then it's not as bad, but I might as well just put my phone, up to my face for fuck's sake.
A cone effect going on, and there's some chromatic aberration around the outside. So you kind of have this slight feeling of looking into a large tunnel at everything. There are actually no field of view numbers published by Apple anywhere about Vision Pro, as far as I can tell, and I kind of think that's on purpose because I've noticed from using them both that the Quest 3 has a better, wider field of view just looking inside the headset. So if I could change one thing about the Vision Pro to make it more immersive, it would be a wider field of view, no question. Vision Pro has the best pass-through of any headset I've ever used. That much is super clear to me. And weirdly enough, this doesn't actually surprise me either. Maybe because this is one of the products that makes it so obvious that they're thinking a lot about the future. Like Apple talks a lot about AR and how they want things to just be.
You know what's crazy? That Oculus is like the only one that's like leading the market for this. But it's like, where's the Microsoft, this like Samsung, or just like, some other type of headset like this? They're just not really, entering the market, right? Like they can outdo Meta so easily. If we just had Windows 10, but on like a, headset, right? That'd be cool, but they're not doing it yet. So it must be something like very niche for advertising that Meta is thinking or knows that they are profiting from it. Why are all these big companies not pushing harder for it, right? Is it just because they don't want to invest in it right now? Like, why did only Apple and for the longest time in the Quest, Facebook, push so heavily in this market? Like, there must be some reason, some incentive for them to do it like that, rather than just a vision, right? I'm just kind of suspicious is all I'm saying.
Clear and just overlaying things onto your real world. But with today's technology, again, that's not quite possible yet. So instead, they have a VR headset, but they're using the highest quality camera feeds possible and the highest quality displays on the inside possible to let you almost feel like you're looking through it at the real world. So you put this headset on, and the first thing you see is pass-through. I mean, you might as well call it transparency mode. And the sharpness and the colors and the very low latency are all so good that I really don't experience any eye fatigue no matter how long I am in this pass-through mode. Despite my eyes being inches from these screens, I can interact with the real world around me, pick things up and look at them. I can walk around between rooms and not trip on things. I tried having people throw things at me, and I could just catch them. I played table tennis successfully with the headset on, which is crazy if you think about what's actually happening here. The total latency, Apple says, is 12 milliseconds. That's from the outside light hitting the outside sensors to the inside image being updated and hitting your eyeballs. That's incredibly fast. And that includes the exposure time of the cameras. That's the specially designed R1 chip at work. But, as Neil from The Verge has put it, it's still cameras and screens. Like, the technology of today isn't magic, so you still have to expose a camera sensor and set ISO and shutter speed, etc. And you can kind of play around with this a bit just by looking around, like at bright objects or high dynamic range environments. And you know what? For the variety of situations I've thrown at this thing, it's handled it very impressively the whole time, mostly prioritizing smoothness and high shutter speeds at the expense of cranking up the ISO and getting way more noise, especially in darker environments. But you can still see stuff like the hand occlusion breaks sometimes or look really janky when you put your hand in front of something. You can still see objects start to float a little bit more in X, Y, and Z space when you're in much lower lighting as opposed to the usual perfect position. Again, it's the best I've ever seen with today's tech.
Proof of concept.
But it definitely still has a long way to go. So honestly, the ecosystem is, I would say, the strongest argument for a regular person going out and buying today's version of the Vision Pro. Like, every time a new big product comes out or whatever, I get like texts from people. Oh, hey Marquez, I know you already made like a 30-minute video about it and like unboxed it and did all that, but like, what do you really think about the Vision Pro? Like, is it good enough? Should I get one? And truthfully, probably not, but I will say that there are a good amount of things that I do specifically look forward to using for it, and most of those things are ecosystem related. So obviously there's the built-in apps, right? iMessage works perfectly just like any iPhone or iPad on your account. Photos are all loaded up in here straight from your iPhone. This is clearly the headset that is best for iPhone users, Apple ecosystem people, but also little things too, like continuity, so I can copy some text on my Mac or my iPhone and then hit paste and it shows up in the Vision Pro. But there's two really impressive ones.
Yeah, but why would you not just copy on your iMac and then just paste on your iMac? Like,
to me, so I can copy some text on my Mac or my iPhone and then hit paste.
I guess I'm old. I'm saying iMac. Just say Mac.
And it shows up in the Vision Pro. But there's two really impressive ones to me for very different specific reasons. FaceTime and Mac Virtual Display. See, FaceTime is the most only Apple could ship this thing I've seen in a long time. From the personas scanned in from the cameras on the front of the headset to the positional tracking.
That just looks goofy though, right? It's like, it doesn't look terrible. Like, it's not as bad as fucking Meta. But it's, why not just use, like, yeah, and it's like if I'm FaceTiming someone, it's like, oh, I'm in the, we're in the kitchen or we're about to open the gifts, right, or something like that. It's Christmas or whatever, right, or someone's birthday, right? Oh, FaceTime me, right? And it's just usually in the moment. Oh, let me FaceTime you, right? But yeah, it's just no. Usually, if we're FaceTiming people or calling people, it's on the go, right? We're never really just sitting down having a FaceTime. It's just like, if we want to sit down, let's just fucking meet each other.
And the responsiveness of the spatial audio, it's all so well thought out that, once everyone on the call gets past the initial, what is this? The shock.
That looks so bad.
The moment they first see the virtual version of you, once they first get past that, then it actually kind of slowly gets easier and it feels way more like a normal conversation than a normal FaceTime. And it trades the downside of not being able to hold up objects to your camera for a button that can switch to a real-time first-person view where you can use both hands instead of one. Does the audio from these speakers still bleed out into the rest of the world so anything over half volume is incredibly audible to everyone in the room around you? Yeah, but does it also still sound really, really...
And let's be honest, guys. Let's be honest. What is probably like one of the most popular tools? Well, it's XX rated, right? It's XXX rated. Okay? And so, if we can't have dedicated, plugged in, noise canceled, right? It's going to be a hard sell. Okay? Let's just say that.
Impressive for not actually being real headphones? Yeah, but the other thing is Mac Virtual Display. This is my number one favorite feature of the Vision Pro, even over like watching movies and stuff. Now, first of all, yes, you can already do remote desktop viewing on something like a Quest 3. So this is connecting to your Mac. Great, I love that too. But this one is way more interesting. So this is connecting to your Mac and then intaking and re-rendering a new virtual display for your Mac, not mirroring what's already being shown by your computer. So you can use your Mac with all of its existing controls you're already using with it, but make your new monitor literally as big as you
can I put it like to my full field of vision?
Want, and then you can open up simultaneous Vision Pro apps all around that Mac display and place them all around the room wherever you want, over the walls, floating in midair, pin them to other objects, whatever. You can go nuts. Now, is this perfect? No, there are definitely trade-offs. From even the little things like not being able to see your keyboard when you're in an immersive environment, to only being able to have a single virtual Mac monitor at a time, to always having to look where you're controlling. I keep telling you guys, there's definitely extra brain cycles involved here. But I do still think that despite all that, this is my number one favorite feature of this Vision Pro. The number one thing that you can buy it for and do that you couldn't do with any other Apple product. I mean, it's the difference between looking like this in a coffee shop or looking like this in a coffee shop. Pick your poison, I get.
Yeah, but the problem isn't looking. It's this guy has gotten like 10x more done than these blokes, right? Okay, one, they're not even actually doing anything, right? But yeah, it's like, you can't tell me that this is your favorite feature when you're a video creator. There's no way you're actually as fast going like this, right? Not being able to see a dedicated keyboard and getting actual good work done, right? Or even, just leisure, right? It's just not as efficient and slow, right? Who wants that? No one. What did he say? His favorite feature?
And do that you couldn't do with any other Apple product. I mean, it's the difference between looking like this in a coffee shop.
Yeah, it's like between this and any other Apple product, right? It's like, but it's just a gimmick. It's not actually anything useful, right? Get past the gimmick phase, Apple. That's all I'm saying.
I had my Mac and some other monitors around me, and then I took it off, and then I went and did something, and then I came back, and before I put the headset back on, I looked up at the wall to where I thought a window was going to be, but I hadn't.
Wow.
I don't know if this is more about the headset or about me.
Yeah, it's novel. It's cool. It's quirky. But, at the end of the day, is it not just going to collect dust eventually? Right? Am I not just going to put it in the, in the back? And be like, oh, that was cool. Okay, but let me actually get work done, right? Let me actually, watch a show, right? Let me actually, text someone, right? I'm not going to do it on this rinky-dinky headset, right? After the novelty's weared off, after people go, oh, that's so cool. After they all leave because they don't give a fuck anymore. That thing's collecting dust. That's just tech waste, right? A couple $1,000s down the drain. I'm not going to buy it, That's all I'm saying.
Speaking of apps, we got to get into the weaknesses. And the app situation on Vision Pro right now is one of them. So this is the home screen of the Vision Pro.
More like the Achilles heel. Come on.
It has all of your apps. You can't rearrange them. It's always alphabetical. And this is a developing situation that will record and improve over time. But as of right now, as I record this, on launch day, there are literally 600 apps made for the Vision Pro. And that sounds like a lot at first, but then kind of not a lot. There are also...
Most of them are like Jetpack Joyride also, so...
made for the Vision Pro. And that sounds like a lot at first, but then kind of not a lot. There are also the millions of other apps that are made for the iPad that are compatible with the Vision Pro that will show up, but there's 600 apps made specifically for the Vision Pro. The few apps that are showing up here are pretty incredible, and they all kind of find unique and creative ways to take advantage of the 3D space. And I fully believe the rest of the developers are also kind of
literally just a clock.
Still trying to figure out what to do with the 3D space in their own apps, or even if it makes sense to do anything at all beyond the normal iPad app. But at this point right now, today, I honestly believe that there are way more cool ideas about VR and AR experiences than there are actual apps. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some cool apps, and like I said, I've shown some in the past video, there are some more in this video, and there will be more that pop up every day. But have you seen a video of gamifying vacuum cleaning so that you can actually cover your entire floor space like a game? It's not a real app, but if it was, it would be
You're not even getting it! You're doing a poor job vacuuming. This is so bad.
sick, and I would totally use it. Or maybe you've seen another video of watching an F1 race in Vision Pro. It is so sick. It's like there's a virtual track overlaid into your space, so you can keep track of everything happening at once, plus the times and, you know, smaller video feeds of the battles around different points of the track.
Yeah, okay. That's not too bad. Like I was saying, you know, in the more industrial, you know, we can create a specific app to, you know, have a actual model that we can interact with, right? Just like fucking Tony Stark, you know. It's like, okay, that makes sense. You know, it's like, I can see that. But, like, as the next iPhone, right? As the next big technology, absolutely not, right?
This looks...
And what can me, like, I don't watch F1 races. What one of these cool badass apps, right? These interactive apps am I going to, like, really use on a daily basis, right?
Genuinely better than the actual TV broadcast experience, but it's also not a real app yet. It's just a concept. And I've seen all kinds of other stuff, and I want to watch an NBA game courtside in the Vision Pro 2, but that experience doesn't seem to exist yet either. Whatever it is about, like, Apple jumping into this new space and all the implications of, like, oh, okay, the tech is going to start to get better now, this sort of unlocked this new creative layer for people to dream of new AR and VR experiences. And it'll be up to developers to actually make that stuff happen over time with the constraints of today's technology. But as of right now, not a lot of apps. Also, no YouTube app, no Netflix app, there's no Spotify app.
Not even a fucking YouTube app? Seriously? Like, I knew, like, Netflix and Spotify are like, nah, dude. But not a freaking fucking Google app. Holy shit. This is garbage. Right? Like, most of what I do in my day is YouTube, for fuck's sake. What am I doing right now? What are you doing right now, right? No fucking YouTube app. That is just... That is so bad. Oh my god. Hey, we got a chatter. Holy shit. Oh my god, we got a chatter. I didn't even think that was going to happen. First time. Oh my goodness.
There's no TikTok app yet. I hope that Apple can sort of patch up the relationship with these developers, because getting those apps will make this a better product. But as of right now, that is definitely a weakness of this first-gen product.
See, now I just have PTSD that I'm not, you know, tending to my Twitch chat, you know. That I just need to, like, stop this video right now and then make sure I have Twitch chat open right now. But I'm just going to finish the video, end the stream, and then I'm going to be pretty motivated to get my Twitch chat up, because what the fuck? You know, I was in the just chatting category. I have, like, no fucking, you know, channel banner, right, or thumbnail or anything like that. No clout. And this European just comes into my chat and it's like, hey, what's up? Oh my goodness. Okay, let me finish the video. Oh my god.
Alright, I'm not the only one who's been saying this, but this is not the most comfortable headset. And I figured out why. So first of all, everyone's mentioned the weight, and it's true. It does weigh like 25% more than a lot of other headsets. Like take the Quest 3, for example.
25%? Jesus fucking Christ. Like, imagine taking a 20-pound dumbbell, right? And slapping a 5-pound dumbbell on top of that, right? Like, or imagine taking 100 pounds and then putting an extra 25 pounds on that, right? This is like 25%. That's no fucking joke.
Popular one, familiar to most people, that's mostly plastic, and it weighs 515 grams. So Vision Pro, being made of metal and having all this glass, weighing in at nearly 650 grams, it kind of seems like Apple just didn't care about
premium,
the weight. But I don't think that's the case. Matter of fact, if you've seen the teardowns, or if you've seen what's inside this little computer here on your face, this is built incredibly efficiently. There's carbon fiber in here, magnesium, all sorts of other lightweight material.
Yeah, but it's not like people are going to be using it for a long stretch of time anyway, am I right?
Now, there's still lots of obvious heft on it, but 25% more weight shouldn't be the difference between comfortable and like I need to do neck exercises. No, the problem is this strap.
Okay.
This is the Solo Knit strap. This is the strap that's in all the commercials that everybody sees. This is what's on Apple's website. It's in all the Apple stores because it looks so cool. And I think when Apple was probably first deciding, okay, we're going to get into this VR headset market, how do we differentiate ourselves? We've got to reinvent a few things, like the input method and all this stuff. I think they thought the strap had to be one of them, and that's how we got this thing. And I think Dave 2D was spot on in his recent video. VR headsets just kind of all look dumb, and the straps on them are all so universally lame looking. And this strap is just so much cooler. You put it on, it's the quickest to adjust. It messes up your hair the least. It obviously has this little adjustment thing on the outside so you can scroll this wheel and satisfyingly like tighten the cables inside. Like this must have taken a lot of R&D to get this thing to look iconic and actually be functional. This is sick. But when you put it on, you sort of tighten it up against the front of your face.
That is pretty seamless.
It's squeezing it up against your face, all of the weight up at the front against basically these two pressure points, right above your eyes and right on your cheeks. And the more you tighten it to prevent light leak, the more uncomfortable it gets. And it's so hard to wear this for more than about 30, 45 minutes. After 45 minutes.
Yikes. 30, 45 minutes. You can like finish like one show and then be like, ooh, if you can even watch it, if Netflix doesn't cut you. But you could watch one fucking show and then it'd be like, I'm out. It's so bad.
I really do need to take this off. So it's not your neck as much as it's just all the pressure on the front of your face. And Apple knows this, and that's why they've included in the box this second band. This is the dual loop band, and it's super easy to pop this one off and pop this one on. Now, it's not as cool looking as a Solo Knit band, and it's going to mess up your hair more than a Solo Knit band, and it's not as easy to adjust as a Solo Knit band. You're literally like trying to find and attach Velcro blindly at the top of your head. Basically, it's almost as lame looking as every other VR headset strap, but it turns out they all look like this for a reason, and oh my god, is it so much better for wearing it for a long time. I just recently did the last episode of the Waveform podcast. You can go subscribe over there. I wore the headset for the entire thing, a 2-hour recording, and I could never have done that with the Solo Knit band. And that's because it's taking a ton of the pressure off of the front of your face and taking the weight and using the top of your head to support it instead. It's so much better. So if you're gonna just hand the headset to someone to use it for like 5 minutes, the Solo Knit band is great because it's super quick, doesn't mess up their hair, easy to adjust, boom. But if you plan on using this thing for an extensive period of time, yeah, the dual loop band is 100% the way to go.
Nice.
So I don't know if the eyes on the outside of this headset.
Okay, that looks super stupid. That looks so bad.
Are actually accomplishing what Apple probably wanted them to accomplish. I think this again comes down.
They seriously shipped this. I guess they're trying to rush something out for like, Q1. Look.
Down to what we expect Vision Pro to be in the future. See-through glasses, way down the line. But that's obviously not possible with today's tech, so the closest we can get is a lenticular display that shows your eyes to the outside world, and so that you can see them and they can kind of see you. I don't know. At this point, I've tried my eyes, but also everyone else here at the studio has also scanned themselves in and tried eyesight, and it's just not very visible. Like the smooth glass of the headset is so incredibly reflective that there's almost always some light bouncing off it in a way that makes the eyes hard to see. And even if you can see it, it's pretty low resolution thanks to the lenticular display. And the bottom line is it doesn't actually feel like...
If you don't feel confident, then don't fucking ship it, right? Just take that feature out. That's embarrassing.
Eye contact most of the time, which is very different from what you might have seen in the ads, especially for darker skin tones. And I was actually thinking about this. Like, this is so far from what I think I expected that I was wondering, does Apple in the next generation Vision Pro double down on eyesight, or do they get rid of it? I think they have to keep it. Like, it's such an iconic part of the headset that everyone's expecting it to stay, so it's got to be there. But also, this is Vision Pro, and I think that implies that we're going to get Apple Vision at some point down the road, which is like a less expensive version of this. And with that, do you take out eyesight, or does that still appear in the lower end?
Take it out. It's garbage, right? Why would you even have like a reflective screen for like eyesight, right? If it's just gonna like look terrible, right? Just take it out. It just makes, all it does is make you look dumb, right? So take it out.
I don't know. Only time will tell. So all right, look, at the end of the day, when I'm answering those texts about what do people want to know what I really think about Vision Pro, I think the Vision Pro is a really expensive, really fun toy. Like, this is an incredibly fun piece of tech to play with. And I am loving watching the pieces of media built specifically for Vision Pro. I am loving playing some of the new early games that are taking advantage of the 3D space and the hand controls. I am loving the idea of getting on a plane and editing videos on my Mac or watching a movie on a gigantic screen while the person next to me can't see any of what I'm doing. That stuff is all so sick. And if you're actually thinking about buying one, I think you should be able to expect to enjoy all of that same stuff too. But definitely still note that all of the symptoms of a first generation product are definitely also still here. It's heavy. It's not a lot of apps. The battery life is meh, and it's expensive. So here's the bigger question. Is the Vision Pro a guaranteed success in the future?
No.
Because
So that's what. Well, okay. It depends on what you mean by the future, but off of everything that we've said so far, hell no.
first generation iPhone had all of the same downfalls in its generation.
No, it didn't. It was actually a tool that was functional. Like it actually added a new function to people's lives that they weren't previously thinking that they could have. Right? All of those features wrapped into one little kit, and all they had to do was improve the efficiency of it.
And look at where we are now.
That is not the same as this.
So also, same with the watch, same with the iPad. But here's the thing. You can't just say the other stuff had problems and it became successful, therefore this one having problems also means it's successful. It doesn't work that way. There has to be something about this that people actually like that makes them willing to overlook the first generation downfalls. And I think this has it. I think it has... honestly, it's kind of just the sci-fi fun nature of like controlling things with your hands, moving windows around the room. The sci-fi movie energy, you've seen it. You're probably already thinking of a certain movie that has that sort of energy. This has them.
So, okay, maybe he says something immediately after this, but basically what he just said is like, okay, you can't just say because something was, successful in the past that this new thing will also be successful like it, okay? You can't just say that, okay? There has to be something that the market is going to attach to that's going to make them buy this. And you know what it is? It's just that it's so cool and sci-fi. Bro, we don't have the money you have, okay? Just because it's cool and sci-fi doesn't mean I'm going to spend... Just because it's sci-fi and cool gimmick does not mean I'm going to spend $3.5 thousand to get this Apple Vision Pro. I'm going to go to Best Buy once, maybe twice, test it out, go, wow, this is cool, and then I'm never going to use it again. Right? Like, I'm not going to spend 3.5 grand on this. Jesus. Sci-fi does not mean it's actually going to be successful. Anyway.
And the fact that these ideas of what people want to do in VR are so universally well-liked and so cool, that means that there's something here. There's something that people want
are people actually
even in this first generation. Now, will all this new attention on VR headsets in general shine a lot of light on all of the other much cheaper competitors that you should probably buy instead of this one, like the $500 Quest 3? Yeah. Now, will all this new developer attention in this VR AR space bring a lot of way cooler, way more awesome applications that will rapidly improve the value proposition of this $3,500 Quest 3? Yeah. Now, will all this new developer attention in this VR AR space bring a lot of way cooler, way more awesome applications that will rapidly improve the value proposition of this $3,500 first gen?
Rapidly improve $3,500? Maybe not rapidly improve, but improve. But will it be enough for Apple to think that it's worth it to keep producing? I don't know.
Headset. Yeah.
Maybe.
Should you go out and buy one of these if you've got the money and you saw one or two really cool looking apps that you want to try from the videos?
No.
Sure, why not? It's your money. I'm already very excited for the next one.
No. He's just saying, hey, you're not a YouTuber, right? So $3.5 thousand is a lot of money. So I would just not do it if I were you. Sure, it's your money. I have $3.5 in my account. I just have it in my couch cushion, so No, I'm not spending 3.5 grand. Sorry.
Generation. Thanks for watching.
And neither should you. That's what I'm also saying. You should not spend $3.5 thousand on a rinky-dinky headset that is guaranteed, be honest with yourself, it's guaranteed to collect dust after the first couple of weeks. Okay? Don't do it.
Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Yeah, so, no.